Coach, what have you liked best about what you've seen in these final days in practice leading up to the game?
I think the just the heightened sense of sense of urgency and focus. Been two good weeks of preparation. Excited about the plan on both sides of football. Excited about the way that we've attacked and executed that plan.
Every year, it seems like key players are playing in their first Army Navy game. Last year, Eli and Alex, for example, and when we saw Colin as a freshman, Griffin on the defensive line is seems to be really coming into his own. Does he seem like and the other first year guys that are going to be helping out on the field? Do they just kind of seem like sponges right now in practice, kind of taking it all in and observing what the older guys tell them?
Yeah, I think so. And you despite the fact that you played in this game, you got to remind them what the environment feels like, and the younger guys can talk to the older guys about what that looks like, and we talk a lot about drowning out the noise and focusing on the task at hand, um, and and the ability to do your job as well as you can do it over and over again, not pressing, not trying to do too much, staying in your lane, doing your 111th is the message that you talk about, in these 2 weeks leading up to this game. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be an emotional game, and the ability to execute is going to be extremely important. And so the execution piece is greater than the emotional piece, and just reminding them of that.
Even though the outcome was disappointing, when you look back on it, preparing for this game, do you think the Notre Dame game taught some of these players something important that they can take into a game that's of this magnitude?
Yeah, I think maybe so. I thought that we were a team that made some mistakes in that game. I thought we pressed a little bit. Sometimes you want something so bad that you try to play outside of yourself, and just remind them that you can't do that in a game like this. In a lot of ways, less is more in a game like this. And so just getting them to understand that, I think playing that environment certainly helped early in the year, and lessons that you learn from it.
And finally, how important is your support staff this week, particularly important all season long, but with so many responsibilities, what they can do behind the scenes to help free you guys up for what you need to do on the field?
Yeah, extremely important. And we got tremendous support staff. Couldn't have a better DFO than Josh Boss, and obviously Greg. His guys do a phenomenal job. But it's nice not to worry about a lot of logistical things, because your support staff's so on top of it. And, yeah, they certainly make our jobs a lot easier.
Good luck, Coach. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags. Coach, how are you?
Great.
I just got done talking to Gary Danielson, who's going to be the color commentator for the game, and he thinks one of the most important matchups is and a key to the game is your defensive line, because of what Army's been able to do offensively, and that great offensive line that has 5 All-American Athletic Conference selections. Do you agree with Gary's assessment?
Yeah, certainly one of the most important matchups in the game. It's our front seven, obviously including our defensive line. But yeah, well, listen, they're good up front. They played well all year, and that's going to be a challenge for us. But I think we're pretty good up front as well. And so that's certainly going to be one of the keys to the game. There's no question about it.
Well, that's what I mean. Obviously, you watched that American Athletic Conference Championship game, and you know very well how good that Tulane defensive front is. And they were resetting that line of scrimmage by 3-4 yards early in the game, and by the end it was like 7-8 yards. I'm not going to say that was eye opening to you, because you probably watched a lot of Army film, but
Yeah.
can you kind of talk about what you see out of their offensive line and what the job they've done?
Yeah, I think they're big. They're physical. I think they're well coached. They play inspired football, and it's a tough unit, and they do a really, really good job.
Something else Gary said was that you have 5 starters who played in this game last year on defense, particularly a lot of experience. 5 American Athletic Conference selections, All American Athletic Conference selections. You got to feel pretty good about your defense and where they're at in going into this game.
I do. It's just nice to have a lot of guys coming back that have played in this game, not just last year, but going back a couple of years, even 3 years for some of these guys, and so they know what it's like. They know what a challenge it is to defend these guys, and done a pretty decent job of it in the past. And I think these guys are excited about the challenge. There's no doubt about that.
And can you talk about, Army has kind of married the two types of offense from previous and what they did last year, and now they're getting a little under center, a lot of under center, a little gun.
Yeah.
Is that, is this a little bit different Army offense than what you've seen in the past?
Yeah, I think it's I think Cody Worley's done a really good job of kind of meshing the two, what they do in the gun and under center, and some of the stuff marries up really well as far as the way that they block things. But done a good job of keeping people off balance, and they do under center and run some of the traditional stuff. They do a really good job, and they kind of seamlessly transition into some of the zone scheme stuff that they like to do. So really impressed in how they've evolved the offense and what they took away from the things they did well, a year ago before they made the change of coordinator and went back to being a primarily under center team. But it's similar to us in the way that we've evolved, as well, and mixture of the triple and some of the zone scheme and gap scheme stuff that both teams are doing, and they've done a nice job of that.
Thanks. I'll pass it.
Dan Tortora.
Coach, looking at this upcoming game, obviously the storied history of Army-Navy, just what you could say for you personally this game does when you are getting in front of your student athletes and have the opportunity to speak with them about how much this game is so far beyond football and a representation of our military here in America.
I think, this game is important to me for a lot of reasons, but primarily because I know how important it is to our players, to our brigade, to our alum, and the people in the Navy and the Marine Corps all over the world. And so, I want us to represent ourselves as well as we possibly can. I want us to be the best version of ourselves on Saturday in the way that we play the game, and for our program, right? So it's the most important goal of the year for us. It's a measuring stick for our season, truly. And so it's important in a lot of different ways, Dan, and it's a big one for sure.
They say never to look ahead, but when you hear Jeff Monken talk, he always says beat Navy. When you're speaking throughout the season, it's beat Army. Just what you can say about how that's truly always right there, just under the surface the whole season long. Yeah,
you don't hear me say that during the year, actually. And not to say that's not always on my mind, or it's not something that we think about, on a yearly basis. It's not something that we, it's certainly something we go in the off season. What do we have to do to win that game? Where do we have to improve in our program and what we're doing to win the CIC? And so it's something we think about all year long. Obviously, it's the number one goal in our program.
Braxton Woodson, I had the opportunity to speak with your quarterback and his story, his journey, the background of why he is who he is, just what you can say to what he's done for this team and who he is as an individual, not just as your quarterback.
Yeah, well, Braxton's just a great young man, and was super pleased. I've been saying for since he's been here as a freshman, just one of the most talented kids in our program. He's got an NFL arm. He's 6'2", 215 pounds. He runs like a deer. And I thought, the East Carolina game, especially in the second half, that all started to come together for him. And his confidence, his teammates' confidence in him, he got a little taste of success. And I think that's going to be a tremendous launching point for Braxton. But super encouraged about his growth and his progress, and really his belief in himself and his ability to do this. I think that's the key to his success, and to see that light kind of come on was awesome. And I think the sky's the limit for Braxton. And as a young man, he's outstanding. He's a great student athlete here. Does everything the right way. Teammates love him. Can't say enough good things about Braxton.
And a final one from me, just looking at, for you, what you've done since coming into Navy as a coordinator and then elevating the head coach, just what you've seen from the evolution of the midshipmen and this program. You've had a lot of success this season, a lot of great moments, started off undefeated through numerous games, just what you've seen in the development and evolution of the program.
Yeah. I think when you've had a few hard years, I think turning the corner is as much of a mindset as anything else. And I've seen the confidence in our football team grow, and it's based on, the work they put in over the course of really the last 2 years. And it's a group that attacks every day and embraces the process, and that's what it's all about here. And not focusing on the outcome, but focusing on the day to day and the things that you have to do to put yourself in a position to have success and really to deserve success. And it's something we talk about a lot around here. I think that's something that our players and our staff have bought into, and I think that's why you've seen some growth and development. Listen, we're still a work in progress, and but I love the direction our program is heading in. I love the progress that we've made at this point. And, I think it's going to continue to go that way.
Thank you, Coach. I'll see you Saturday.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what does it mean to go into the Army-Navy game with both Blake and Braxton having both done what they've done this season, as opposed to some of the last few years where you've had to move people around and do some different things? Is this feel a lot like to you back your first year in 2019 when you had that quarterback and you knew that was a position you were ready to go with in the big game?
Yeah, certainly peace of mind, and especially to have not just one, but two guys that you feel like you can go win a game with. And really a third guy that you feel pretty good about if you had to go put him in. And so it's a much better place to be in, and excited about both those guys and what they're doing with our football team right now, no question.
And we saw him after practice earlier in the week. It looks like Rayon Lane is just ready to burst. He's so excited, but also he gets excited, but he just has that calm demur to him. I mean, this really seems like he is ready to go out in big style in this one.
Yeah, Scott, I think all of our seniors are that way at this point. We've been on the wrong side of this last 2 years, and those seniors know what it feels like to win this game. They know what it feels like to lose it, and they put in the work. They've done everything they can do to deserve success in this game, and so they're excited. I think they've all got a chip on their shoulder and something to prove. And those guys, the important thing at the end of the year was to leave a legacy, and this is a huge part of being able to do that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Coach, how good does it feel that both Army and Navy are having such great seasons? Donald Trump in 2016 famously said, well, it's not the greatest football, but it's an incredible environment. But it is good football. And this year, more so than ever, you're going to be able to put on a national stage that two service academies are getting it done.
Yeah, I think the success that both teams have had make this game, if it's possible, make it more significant. I think it probably does. And so, I think it's great to see the other academies have success. I think it spotlights all of us. And so just really excited about the season we've had, and two good football teams going at it on Saturday. And it's an exciting matchup, whether you're coaching in it or just watching it. I think it's maybe the most highly anticipated Army-Navy game in a long, long time.
So one of the other things Gary Danielson said when I talked to him just now was that he felt it was important for Navy not to fall behind early because of the way that Army can possess the ball and kind of soak the clock. Is that something you see as critical, maybe getting ahead early?
Yeah, I think getting off to a fast start in these games is critical. You can't get yourself in a hole, obviously. And, you look at the history of this game and the amount of possessions that you have, obviously on both sides of the ball is really limited. And if you're getting yourself in a hole, it's really hard to get out of, especially against a team like Army that does possess the ball as efficiently as they do. So I think it's very important for us to get off to a fast start.
With that in mind, I know that normally the philosophy, if you win the coin toss, is to defer so you get the ball in the second half. But in this instance, maybe you want to have the ball first?
Maybe.
All right, last but not least, because I've asked you about all I can think of.
That question will be answered at 3:10 on Saturday.
Yeah, right. What? How much are you looking forward to having the Commander-in-Chief's trophy back in the building? You saw it in 2000. I guess you got it in 19 and had it for 1 year. But where will it go if you win it? Will you stay in the locker room up through the bowl game, or what? What have you thought about what you're going to do with that Commander-in-Chief's trophy?
I don't care what we do with it, as long as it's here in Annapolis, So, yeah, there's not a lot that would make me more happy than that.
Thanks.
Dan Tortora.
Coach, dating back to, I think it was 1901, presidents commonly came to this game, starting with Teddy Roosevelt. President-elect Donald Trump is supposed to be in attendance. What does it mean to you to have the commander-in-chief there for the commander-in-chief trophy?
I think it's awesome. Like it speaks to the magnitude and the importance and what this game represents. And I think it's outstanding.
For you, like you said, personally, your kind of connection and your journey with this game, what is something that sticks out the most to you as we're here almost on the eve of it? When you're thinking about this matchup for you personally, is there something that you reflect upon, something that you always kind of think of going into the matchup for you?
It's such a awesome thing to be a part of. It's a humbling experience. It's an honor to be a part of it. And I think for me, I always take a moment, before the game and just soak it all in, the environment, the surroundings, the moment, and have gratitude, for what these young men do, what our service academies do, what our military does. And I think it's such a great celebration of all those things. And it puts a spotlight, for a day. On our armed forces and on our veterans and the ones that are currently serving, and then of course on our guys on the field that are going to serve. And so, just wonderful to be a part of that, and just very thankful and grateful. And then it's the same way afterwards. You look around, you soak it in, and it's really kind of surreal.
We focus on the players on the field in this game, but in the stands, we have men and women that are representing our, not only the Navy, but also the Army. Just when you look around and you see all of that in the stadium, you spoke about the veterans, but also those that are currently serving, teammates of the student athletes as well. Just what that does to the spirit to see those men and women in the stands.
Yeah, I think all the things I mentioned before, that's part of looking up there and just having gratitude and appreciation for the Corps cadets and the brigade of midshipmen up there, and seeing them in uniform, and it's just it's a special deal.
And then final note for me here, it was almost Army-Navy twice this season as we looked at that American Athletic Championship game. Just what you could say to the future of that we are living in a world with both of the teams having success and being in a place where we could see an AAC championship Army-Navy and then the Army-Navy game to follow.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people thought that was going to be a possibility, when Army came into the conference. And I think, that was close to happening, which I think speaks to where both programs are at, and interesting times are in college football. And so that's exciting. Would love to have would have been interesting, but I would have loved to have gotten to play it twice. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you, Coach.
Anyone else have any other further questions?
Well, this one's for you, Strauss. Do you know if Army is bringing the Commander-in-Chief's trophy to the game?
Yeah, I would assume so. It has been brought to the game.
I could see him not.
Well, it has been brought to the game every time it's been on the line, so I would assume it would be. I don't assume anything else.
Okay. One last thing for me, Coach. I visited with Pete Medhurst on Sunday this week, and I started to talk about it's Army-Navy week, and I was kind of bemoaning I have to write so many articles, and he got emotional because he's going to miss this game. Well, can you kind of talk about Pete and the fact that he's not going to be at Army-Navy game for the first time in, 20-plus years, Strauss?
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right, yep.
Yeah, I hate it for him. And, we sent him over helmet with some messages and some signatures, and obviously been in communication.
His wife loved it. She sent me the picture. They loved it.
Good. Been in communication with his wife, Brenda, and obviously he's been in all of our thoughts and prayers. And really, I think he's phenomenal at what he does. I think he loves these young men, and everybody around here loves him. And we're all praying for him and pulling for him, and know he's a fighter, and we've got his back. And hate that he's not going to be there for this one, but look forward to him being there for the next one.